Points leader Pat Winchester sits with a fast time, but two spoilers sit right behind him. Mark Noto and Mike Loopold plan to block for Pat, but these Empire Flyers could end up being his worst nightmare. Side-by-side racing taking place down in the competition area right now as we get set for the third and final qualifying session in the Tough Trucks Challenge for the season. There have been some shakeups there. Pat Winchester's sitting number one in the qualifying field right now, but there are some spoilers that have been playing havoc with everybody. And we're going to tell you about that as the evening goes on. But first, we're going to take you back to earlier this afternoon. We had a chance to wander over to the Mental Case pit area and talk to Pat Winchester. All right, Pat, you came out number one in the qualifying session earlier today. Mark Noto's time's still hanging in there, though, but he could help you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I got to watch out for him because he did incur a penalty during our second round today, but if you take away them 5 seconds for the penalty, he would have been about 2/10 faster than me. So I can't rule him out. He is my teammate, but we got a bunch of heavy hitters coming out of the camp here, so it's going to be an interesting night for sure.
It's a kind of a double-edged sword. Nick was right behind you in points. Now, he's been struggling a little bit this week and not running too bad, but it seems like he's struggling a bit in the turn down there at the far end. It seems real slick out there, though.
Yeah, I talked to Nick earlier. He was making some different choices on some tires for tonight, hoping that it could benefit him a little better. I like the gap that's there right now for points wise, but I don't like to see any eraser struggling. So we were kind of bouncing some ideas around, see what we can do to make things work a little better for him.
I think there's only 2 positions here that'll get knocked out at the end of qualifying. I think there's 18 trucks here. Field looks real tight though. Actually, even down the ladder, everybody seems to be finding sweet spots on the course. It's not a real lopsided track. Everybody seems to find one fast spot where someone else is struggling. And where is your fast spot if you're not giving away any secrets?
I don't know. That's a very good question because I feel we had a good solid run earlier today. I know I made a couple mistakes in some turns, wasting some time out there. But I watched video and I'm my worst critic because I feel like I'm slower and I'll get out there. So there's areas I need to pick up. I know we can get a little quicker in the straights. I feel our corners are pretty solid. If we can keep our timing down on that and keep everything on the up and up, I think we'll be able to maintain a pretty solid position.
What's the hardest part of the course right now, as far as the first session that you really got to run a full run and your practice? What was the hardest part of the course?
Just your timing in the corners. Your corners are going to make you and break you in a lot of this. I mean, if you're too wide, you're losing time. It could be multiple seconds. If you're too tight, you're smoking Yodox and guaranteed to lose 5 seconds. So it's just a matter of setting your timing up, which all comes in turn with, are you going too fast in the straights so you're overshooting turns? Everything's in direct relation to one another.
I would like to point out how closely Pat Winchester is paying attention to these time slips. That is indicative of everybody in this field, especially the guys sitting in the top 5 right now, because they know there's more speed to be gotten out of this track. It is going to be a wild one. The last shot, there's only 2 spots that aren't going to make it, but the last shot to get in this field and to get a couple more points, squeeze them in there before we come to the end of the 2019 Tough Trucks Challenge. Qualifying session number 3 starts next when we come back.
This edition of Monster Power is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date show and ticket info, plus articles, event breakdowns, and a wide selection of photo and video galleries, visit monstersmonthly.com.
At the beginning,
Welcome back to the Indiana State Fairgrounds in Indianapolis, Indiana for the 38th Annual Fall Four-Wheel Jamboree Nationals presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. We get set for the third and final qualifying session in the Tough Trucks Challenge, and when I say final, I mean for the year. 9 qualifying sessions, that's 3 apiece, plus 3 points races to determine a champion here on the Tough Trucks Challenge. In the white pickup, that's Logan Ellis. Leveled up, taking on Paul Hackle in the Swamp Donkey. The Jeep out of the Foy Toy Racing camp. Both of them looking nice in that corner, and Hackle went a little wider and has actually gotten more momentum out of that corner. How will he handle the next leg? Ellis spins out. Hopefully he'll be able to get back on track. Keep in mind, he did not lay down a qualifying time in this afternoon's qualifying session number 2 because he went the wrong direction on the course. Paul Hackle right now looking real good in the Swamp Donkey. Hackle is currently sitting in 15th. He would love to get up out of the bottom of this pack and ensure himself a spot on the top of the heap. Logan Ellis caught back up to him right now, but Hackle is not giving him anything. Beautiful drift around that corner as they head for the final leg. Logan Ellis will come across the quicker of those 2 times. I don't believe there was a penalty on the run. Paul Hackle, that's his best run there, 103.872, but I don't believe it's going to get him out of the bump spot or off 1 spot off the bump spot, but still, with 18 vehicles in that field, as long as you're like 3 or 4 spots clear of that, you'll be happy. Hackle is probably going to be sweating bullets back there. Now, the Godfather, Jake Nichols in the white Bronco. That's Foy Toy taking on Scott Martin and hauling ass. These 2 guys are good friends off the track, fierce competitors once the helmets go on. Look at Jake Nichols swinging around the barricade. Through the whoop section, a little trouble there for Scott Martin. Nichols with a slight advantage. I believe Martin had some problems getting around the barricade there as well because Nichols looked like he legged him a bit coming back for this middle straightaway. The Foy Toy machine has looked absolutely perfect going up one side of the tabletop and down the other. He's not seemed to have too many problems with the course this weekend. I do believe he could play a major spoiler in this field by the end of the weekend tomorrow. Looking real good in that qualifying run. We'll have to see what the time is as Scott Martin came across the transponder cables as well. Good pair of runs for those guys. I'm not sure where they're going to end up in the field though. Scott Martin in a 103.359 is not able to better the time he laid down earlier, and same for Jake Nichols. Both of those guys laying down their second best pass of the weekend now. Shorty Ellis, white Chevrolet, that's next level, up against Thomas Faust in Mad Money. Ford and Chevy here in the qualifying session. They're looking fairly even right now. Maybe a little edge to Ellis, who took that turn beautifully. Now into the whoop section, a little bit out of shape. Thomas Faust trying to take advantage of it, though I don't know if Faust can actually see him over there down between the jumps. It's one of the lower sections of the course. You can hear the engines running up here by the stage where we are. They're keeping these tough trucks warmed up and ready to go. That's why you hear that constant engine noise. They've just got them cranked, ready to pull out there, get on the line and run this last qualifying session. And these guys are pumped up right now to get the final shot in and try to make the field. The problem there for Ellis. Got plenty of horsepower to try to come back. His best run so far of the weekend, a 101.449. Let's see what Faust laid down. He was quick earlier this afternoon. Not able to better his time from earlier, but laid down a good shot. That'll keep him in the field. He doesn't have to worry about getting knocked out. We got more to come here in the final session of qualifying. Stay with us. at the Indiana State Fairgrounds in Indianapolis, Indiana. That Mustang belongs to Connor Patterson, the Iron Horse. He missed qualifying session number 2. He's been struggling here this weekend. He takes on Brett Sponenberg in Beer Money, who is sitting right now coming into this, I believe, in 16th, and he would like to get off of that bump spot as quickly as possible. Patterson's still just not making the kind of run that he wants to, but it's definitely looking and sounding better than it did yesterday during qualifying session number 1. There you see Brett Sponenberg using those cut brakes coming around that corner right there. Sponenberg kind of out there by himself. He actually had a bye run earlier this afternoon in session number 2. Laid down a good run. We'll see, though. He is in danger of being knocked out of the field. Not a bad run for Brett Sponenberg at all, and that's his best run, a 104.648, but it looks like he may be returning only in a Consi race tomorrow during the elimination sessions. Here at the final event of the 2019 Tough Trucks Challenge, Connor Patterson will not make the field. We know that already. Now, the guy who's sitting number 1, Pat Winchester in the Black Ford Raptor, lined up with John Youngblood in the Wild Thing, who we weren't positive we were going to see back in action. Here's why. Went for a wild ride in session number 2, slammed the rear end of the truck down on the pavement, pulled off. No real damage done, I don't believe, has the truck back out here for session number 3, and he's been paired all weekend long with Pat Winchester, who is not getting what he wanted out of this truck. He is sitting number 1. Pat, as you heard in that interview, said that he is not as fast as he wants to be. He needs to make up some time. John Youngblood's been looking good this weekend. I think had he not had that incident during that qualifying session number 2, he'd have been right in this program. You can see he's keeping pace with Pat Winchester. Maybe not as clean as Pat's being right now, but that truck is looking awesome. Joe Pitts, the man with the camera phone right there. A little problem for Pat Winchester. He entered that tabletop sideways, managed to avoid a penalty. He is pushing this thing hard. He heads for that final corner. What happened to him? He hasn't made around the corner yet. John Youngblood with problems coming over that final tabletop, and Pat Winchester had problems in the final corner. What happened to the mental case? 109.147, not even close to where Pat said he wanted to be. He is not going to be happy with that effort. John Youngblood at a 1:998 second run. That's his best run of the weekend. He knows he's getting in the field. That was not a bad run for him at all. A little problem there, shutting it down at the end, but a good run nonetheless. Now, the guy that Pat has to stay out in front of right now is the guy in the red Chevrolet. That's Nick Anderson. He also has not been running how he would like to this weekend, and you see he has made that tire change. The black rims on the front indicative of that tire change. He had been running Mickey's when he came into this event and is looking for something a little more aggressive to get him around this course. Now he's running buckshots, which aren't always the best choice for pavement, but they've been getting Travis Stevens and One Last Shot around here beautifully, so this might be the tire of choice. Speaking of getting around this place quickly, Wayne Solly has been playing spoiler all weekend long. He's been a huge surprise coming in here, and that's not a shot at Wayne Solly. He's a heck of a driver, but we didn't expect him to come in here and run the way he has been. Final run over the cables. That was a good pair of runs right there. Look at that. 59.436 second run. And the new fast time, Wayne Solly, 59.133. So Thunderstruck striking down some of the top trucks here in the final qualifying session. Who's going to take the top spot? We'll find out when we come back. Here with the 2019 Tough Trucks Challenge, the final qualifying session of the weekend and of the season. We wanted to show you what was going on in the qualifying ladder. Wayne Solly just took the top spot in a 59.133. Very, very fast run. Pat Winchester hanging in second place because of the run he laid down in session number 2. And Nick Anderson has caught Pat Winchester right now. He's sitting in third. Then you see Martin Noto, who has hung in from his first qualifying run. That's how quick he and Mike Leupold were, because Mike is also hanging in the top 5 from his first run. And you see Paul Hackle sitting on the bump spot, not where he wanted to be at this point in the weekend. So we head back out to the competition area here at Indy. Get ready for our next pairing. I mentioned this guy before the previous break, Travis Stevens, in one last shot. He's been running buckshots. He has to. Pat Winchester kind of explained that earlier in the weekend, the way the body is set up on this truck. He has to have the tires tucked up under the bed sides there and up under the front fenders, so he can't run those wider tires. John Yoder is also running buckshots there on the under-pressure Jeep Cherokee Sport. He spent some time in the top 5 as well coming into this third qualifying session. Right now trying to get back up there as they enter the whoops. Look at that. Travis Stevens did that like 2 leaps. That was a beautiful pass through that whoop section. This should be a fast pair of times right here. These guys have definitely not been slow this weekend. They've been staying up in the top 10. They haven't had to worry about getting bumped off. Travis Stevens now out in front as they enter the final leg. The final outside turn. It was a good pair of runs right there. John Yoder hanging on in 7th spot. Travis Stevens will get the time on him as Dale Denal heads for the starting line in the Wild Stallion Ford. 2 Ohio drivers come back to the pits. 1 minute, .361 second run will hold him in there in 6th spot. We'll take another look at his run through the whoops here. Watch him. He'll leap this first one and then just head down the face of the second. Kind of did the same thing again and just barely pinged the tires off of the last mogul in that whoop section. Now another pair of Ohio drivers, Dale Denal in the bright yellow Wild Stallion Ford, taking on the orange AJ Transmission sponsored Chevrolet, Al Varner Jr., the Bounty Hunter. Dale Denal has looked real strong here this weekend, but he's been suffering from mechanical problems. We will see if that continues. Varner out in the lead right now, but Denal attacking the track, trying to stay up with him. And a problem right there. Denal avoids a penalty, but slows down quite a bit. He does not make contact with the barricade. Al Varner heading around to come back up the middle. Denal not in a position to get knocked out of the field, but not wanting to lay down a bad run either. Varner crossing the cables. Here comes Dale Denal, the Wild Stallion, wrapping up his qualifying run. 105.741. Didn't need it. He'll hang on in there based on his run from earlier today. Session number 2 as he rolls up in front of our cameras. And Al Varner at a 1 minute, .238 second run, so he'll take over the number 7 spot from John Yoder. And now we come down to these two. Out of session number 1, they were the only 2 guys in the sub 1 minute category. They've been able to hang in the top 5 this whole time. They've not been knocked out of the top 5, but they would love to get back into those top 2 spots, or at least they would both like to get into that number 1 spot. Both of them out of the state of New York, both of them driving Fords, and both of them working to kind of play blocker for Pat Winchester this weekend, but don't think they're not running their own race, because both of these guys would love to take home the prize money from this event here in Indy, as Mark Noto took a little bit of a wild ride through the whoop section there, and I can't tell if he's squinting or if he's got his eyes closed. As he heads for the corner, you see him light the brakes up there, headed for that tabletop. Didn't want to over-jump it. He wanted to come right down the other side and be able to shoot around the corner. He is laying down an awesome run right now. And Mike Lupo looking real good, too. He may be able to get some time back as Mark Noto flies into the final leg. See those brakes light up every time he goes into that jump as he rounds the final corner. We'll see what the times are. Oh my, we're gonna wait for the ladder to pop up. But that was an awesome run. Both of those were good runs. But check out these numbers. 57.893 seconds ET for Mark Noto. Outran the whole field by a mile. That's only 1 second and change on the clock, but that's a lot in motorsports. Wayne Solly, his teammate, sitting right underneath of him. Then it's Pat Winchester, and then Nick Anderson buried in a sea of New Yorkers right now in 4th place. Then Mike Lupo in the Warhorse rounding out our top 5. It's gonna be an awesome day of racing tomorrow. One of the closest qualifying fields we have seen in this sport. Paul Hackle sitting on that bump spot. He did make the field. Brett Sponenberg and Connor Patterson were the 2 that got knocked out in this final qualifying session. They will have to take to the Conci race. We will see you on our next edition of Monster Power with the Monster Truck Thunder Drags, and then from there we will bring you the final Tough Trucks elimination of 2019. Thanks for joining us. We will see you next time.